Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Chelsea Explained, as this is your match preview ahead of Chelsea Ipswich Town. We need to get a revenge here. I have terrible memory of how we completely dominated them in possession, shots, creating chances, and we're still ending up losing 2-0 at Ipswich ground back in December, and it was their first win at home. And of course, it was going to be against us because we turned up like Chelsea Charity FC that day. So it's very important. We're taking revenge, and if we're looking in the table in the current moment, there has happened a lot of interesting stuff. Not for us. It's not looking good at the moment. So every game until the season ends, which is total of 7 games, we have to take them as finals. I think we're down in 6th place at the moment, although City and Aston Villa has played one more game. Newcastle has a game in hand, and we're gonna play our game, of course. And it's not going to be easy in this last 7 fixtures, and we need to be brave. Maresca needs to assess what's going wrong and go for it. Try to fix and solve the problems we have, because at this moment we really don't have anything to lose. I mean, it's looking pretty dark anyway. So we have to be bold in our decision making. Maresca has to assess what's not going right and try to fix it as much as he can. And the main talking point I want to focus on in this video is how we can improve against low blocks, because I touched upon in recent videos that is something we heavily struggling with. So before we continue any further into my main topic and we dive deeper into it, if you're brand new here, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my page, and hit that notification bell so you never miss when the content drops. So how come we are struggling against low block? Well, in the beginning of the season, or first half of the season, teams didn't really know what to expect from us. They underestimated Maresca's build-up play. We did it really well. Time and time again, we managed to play through opposition press, and it almost felt like we were going on direct counter-attacks. A bit similar to how De Serbi got Brighton to play when he was a manager there. But then teams started to respect us. They figured out that, pressing Chelsea high is a risk, and therefore they have managed to found a way to stop us as much as possible. It doesn't always works, but at least people have found a way to nullify us heavily. And what the opposition does is that they, instead of pressing us high, most of the times in the game, they sitting back in a low block, squeezing the center of the pitch as much as possible, and let our center backs have the ball and let them just pass sideways and sideways. But you know what? We're gonna protect the middle and make it so difficult for Chelsea to find the pivot players in Caicedo, Cucurella, find the half space players in Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, and Jackson up front. If we're keeping them out of the game as much as possible, isolating them, then Chelsea has the only option of playing insane through balls by the centre backs, or go to the flanks where we have Sancho, Madueke, Neto, etc. And Maresca has to sort of come up with an idea how we can expose teams that's sitting deep in a low block. And we talked about it in my match review of the leg, and we saw that in the second half, the tweaks Maresca did, and I think it was spot on. I think we can learn something from there and take it further now when we have a chance to do so, especially tomorrow against Ipswich, who will likely sit back, hit us on the counters. So what we can do is that we can have either one player from our makeshift back three stepping out into the midfield, which means Ipswich gonna have another player to worry about that they need to mark in the midfield. We can have Cucurella overlapping on the flanks and doubling up there. So we're overloading one flank, which means Ipswich gonna have to worry about the flanks as well because we got more bodies there. And then they're gonna come out a bit of their low block, and they're gonna be spaces and pockets that opens up in the middle. We can also answer Fernandes, having a sort of Messala role, or Palmer having a Messala role, where he helping the winger out wide, and then we can have Cucurella making underlapping runs that will be very difficult for the opposition to stop. We need more of that. We need more movement. We need more rotation. The problem is that there's two problems I came to notice is Maresca is very obsessed with control and possession. And I can see the strength of dominating possession heavily. The main point of him wanting us to play sideways is to always have the opposition team moving from one side to the other, and then when they make a mistake, when they decide to get tired sitting in their block and press high, we gonna play through them and find Palmer, Enzo, Jackson through the middle with diagonal passes. But if the opposition decides to be very disciplined and limiting those diagonal passes to be made, we need to find other solutions how we're gonna break down the team, and that Maresca did that against Lega in the second half, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and we managed to break them down, and we should have had at least 5 goals in that game, although we won 3-0. I got an understanding why we're passing sideways backwards at times, but if the opponent is more disciplined, we need to take more risk. We need to have more movement, rotations, adding another body in the midfield or in the flank, and be brave and go for it, because I think then we're gonna become an even more problem for the opposition. Otherwise, we're not gonna create that many clear-cut chances. The opposition gonna capitalize on mistakes and hit us on counters and score goals. Now I understand as a manager, you can't fix everything and get everything to click from the get-go. First, you have to understand where you want your players to be in the formation, what roles they're gonna have, set up defensive foundations, attacking foundation, build up play. But now we only have 7 games to go. I feel like we can execute Maresca's system pretty well. Now it's about how we can work on our weaknesses and improve there and become a more versatile, flexible team that can adapt to opponents that sitting in a low block, because we're heavily struggling against that. And Maresca needs to be bold, experiment, and find a way to break them down, and I'm definitely gonna watch out for that in tomorrow's game. Gotta say though, what I really like from us, what we have improved upon this season, is our set piece variation. We're so close to score a set piece almost every game, so Bernardo Cueva is doing a great job there. I think our aggressive press is really good. It can get much better, but our man-oriented press is getting the opponent to sweat, and it helps us winning back possession a lot of the times. Another thing I like is that we taking more shots outside the box. That can definitely help breaking down a low block, since they're gonna have to worry about players suddenly hitting long range shots from everywhere. And we got players in the squad that can hit us goals from 30-40 yards. So I want to see more of that in our game. I think we also have become more defensive, solid. If you're looking at last season, we really struggled to control games, and we were so open in the defense. So Maresca has done a great job for us this season defensively wise. Of course, there are things to improve upon there, but it's better if you compare it to last season. But I hope you understand my point of view now on why breaking down low blocks is a problem and what Maresca can do about it. And we need to find solutions, because we have to reach Champions League football. We need to get it, and we can only get it by improving on our weaknesses. In terms of the lineup, I expect Sanchez to start in goal. I think we're gonna see Reece James Chaluba, Colville, and Cucurella in our back line. I think we're gonna see Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, of course. In the front four is gonna consist of Madueke, Palmer, Net on the left hand side, Jackson up front, which I have a lot of players that are fully rested now. So there's no excuse of not having a high tempo and urgency in this game. I'm resting Sancho here because he's played a lot of minutes. Neto is rested. I think Sancho has. There's like he's playing good in one game and then he goes missing for a few games. But I would give Neto an opportunity. I wouldn't mind seeing Sancho starting either, but this would be my preferred lineup, and this is what I think Maresca would also go with. A lot of players has received lots of criticism, including Nkunku. I think Nkunku have things to prove upon, but I have to remind you guys, every player won't be versatile and can play multiple positions. Nkunku's role is in the number 10 role as a shadow striker, and Maresca is not really using him there. I think his head is not here, he's not confident, he's not happy, and I understand him. Not every player is gonna be a robot and give everything they can if they're not being utilized in the right way. So if Maresca doesn't fancy him, we should probably let go of him in the summer. But I'm not gonna be too harsh on some of these guys. I'm gonna criticize them fairly, but I'm not gonna bully them like a lot of fans have done with certain players over the years. And so because it's trendy and people like to follow that. But I'm not really gonna do that. I'm gonna try to be fair, level-headed, and criticize fairly, not attacking people left, right, and center every day of my life. Now, what do I think of the score prediction? I expect Ipswich to sit back, hit us on counters. We have to watch out for the lap, of course, NNC. So they got also some other decent players in this team. But Ipswich has one foot in championship. They're almost relegated. Their defense is leaking so many goals. They are pretty weak in attack as well. Although they're creating a few clear-cut chances every game, but they don't have the quality to capitalize on it unless it's the luck that get that scoring opportunity. So if we stepping up now tomorrow in all the areas I mentioned, if we're seeing tweaks on how we can break down low blocks and not going with the same way, not being stubborn, Maresca has to find new ways and has to make us improving the attack and help us evolving, because otherwise we gonna have problems. So I think actually we're gonna see a victory and we're gonna win 3 goals to 1. Let me know your score prediction and in my thoughts in this video, and I will happily read it. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and Chelsea Explains out. Bye.